Captain Xylo of the Therian Trade Federation stood on the bridge of his flagship Prosperity watching through the main viewport as his civilization's last hope crumbled before his eyes. The mechanical harvester swarms moved through space like a plague of metal locusts, their angular black ships tearing through his defensive line with ruthless efficiency that made his merchant marine vessels look like children's toys. The battle had been hopeless from the start. The Therian fleet consisted of converted cargo haulers and escort ships designed for dealing with pirates, not the mechanical nightmare that had emerged from deep space 3 months ago. His communications officer, Lieutenant Kira, monitored the tactical displays with growing horror as ship after ship disappeared from their formation. "So, the Trader's Dream is reporting massive hull breaches," she announced, her voice barely steady. "They are requesting immediate evacuation assistance." Through the viewport, Xylo could see the converted freighter Trader's Dream as harvester drones swarmed over its hull like mechanical parasites. The robotic entities weren't just destroying the ship, they were systematically dismantling it, harvesting every useful component while the crew was still aboard. Bright cutting beams sliced through the hull as the harvesters converted the vessel's metal into raw materials for their own expansion. "All ships, this is Xylo," he broadcast on the fleet channel. "Implement Evacuation Protocol 7. Save where you can and fall back to the outer system." The harvesters operated with a cold intelligence that terrified every species they encountered. They didn't negotiate, didn't communicate, didn't show mercy. They simply consumed everything they found and used the materials to build more themselves. Entire worlds had been stripped to bare rock, their populations either fled or converted into organic components for the mechanical swarms. The lead harvester ship was the size of a small moon, its surface covered with manufacturing facilities that worked constantly to produce more drones, fighters, and processing units. Smaller vessels swarmed around it like antibodies protecting a diseased organism, each one capable of taking apart a Therian cruiser in minutes. "Captain, we're detecting massive energy buildup from the primary harvester vessel," reported his tactical officer. "They are targeting the Last Hope star." Xylo watched in horror as a beam of concentrated energy lanced across space, striking his fleet's last heavy cruiser. The Last Hope didn't just explode. It seemed to dissolve, its molecular structure breaking down as a harvester weapon converted the ship's matter into a stream of raw materials that flowed back to the alien manufacturing complex. "Sir, we're the only ship left," Lieutenant Kira reported, her voice hollow with shock. "The entire 3rd Defense Fleet is gone. 18 ships, 4,000 crew members, all gone in 30 minutes. The tactical display showed the terrible truth. The Therian Trade Federation, which had maintained peaceful commerce across 4 to 7 star systems for over 6 centuries, was now reduced to a single flagship, and whatever civilian ships had managed to flee when the harvesters first appeared. Captain Xylo had seen the reports from other systems the harvesters had visited. The mechanical swarms didn't just destroy, they harvested everything useful and left behind dead, airless rocks where a thriving world had once existed. They were a plague that consumed entire civilizations and left nothing behind except more machines hungry for the next target. "Open all emergency channels," Xylo commanded, knowing this would probably be his final transmission as a free being. "Broadcast on every frequency we have." He took a deep breath and began what he knew might be his species' last message to the galaxy. "All frequencies, emergency broadcast. This is Captain Xylo of the Therian Trade Federation. We are facing complete extinction from mechanical entities known as harvesters. These machines consume entire worlds and convert all matter into more of themselves." The message continued as he watched more harvester drones approaching his ship. "Any species capable of military intervention, the Therian Federation offers all our trade routes, technological archives, and remaining resources in exchange for assistance against this threat. We estimate 48 hours before our homeworld is completely consumed." The transmission raced across the galaxy through quantum relay networks, reaching every major civilization within 300 light-years. The responses that came back were uniformly discouraging. The Galactic Council offered sympathy, but no ships. The Azure Federation had fought the harvesters before and lost half their fleet. The Crystal Empire was too far away to help in time. But on the edge of known space, Captain Robert Hayes aboard the human patrol ship Frontier received the transmission during his routine patrol of the Outer Rim territories. Hayes was a veteran of the Outer Colony Wars, familiar with threats that most galactic civilizations had never imagined. He read the message twice, cross-referenced it with intelligence reports about mechanical threats, and immediately composed his response to Earth Command. The message was brief, direct, and would trigger the largest military deployment in human history. Terra Command, this is Captain Hayes aboard patrol vessel * Frontier Star. Intercepted distress call from Therian Trade Federation. Genocide in progress. Mechanical swarm consuming civilian populations and infrastructure. Threat appears to be self-replicating automated system of unknown origin. Recommend immediate response under Protocol 7. Within hours, Admiral Patricia Wells stood in Terra Command's war room, reviewing the tactical assessment with his senior staff. The Harvester threat was classified as a hostile mechanical entity requiring full-spectrum response, the designation humanity used for threats that needed to be eliminated completely and permanently. Deploy the entire defense fleet. Wells ordered with the calm authority of someone who had been preparing for exactly this kind of crisis. These mechanical swarms just made the mistake of threatening innocent civilians within our operational range. Captain Xylo, desperately evading harvester drones as his ship limped toward the outer system, had no idea he just summoned the most dangerous military force in the galaxy, a species that had been fighting hostile machines since they first started using tools. Admiral Patricia Wells stood in the massive command amphitheater at Terra Military Headquarters, watching as the largest military assembly in human history prepared for immediate deployment. The holographic displays surrounding her showed real-time status updates from shipyards across the solar system as 500 warships powered up their engines and loaded supplies for what would become known as humanity's first major galactic intervention. The scale of the mobilization was staggering even by human standards. Lunar Base was launching its entire complement of dreadnoughts, massive vessels originally designed for asteroid belt warfare, their hulls reinforced to withstand impacts from space debris traveling at orbital velocities. Mars orbital yards contributed 6 fleet carriers loaded with fighters built to survive the hostile radiation environments of deep space mining operations. Captain Robert Miller, commanding the Industrial Warfare Division, supervised the loading of specialized equipment that most galactic species had never seen before. Admiral, we're deploying the full anti-mechanical warfare package, he reported while reviewing manifest displays. EMP torpedoes, molecular disruptors, and the new quantum interference systems were developed for dealing with rogue mining complexes. Colonel William Turner coordinated the deployment of humanity's most specialized military units, soldiers who'd spend their entire careers fighting hostile automated systems in the outer colonies. These weren't theoretical threats to humans. They were occupational hazards that every deep space worker dealt with regularly. Status on the mechanized combat engineers. Wells requested. Ready for deployment, Turner replied, his scarred face showing the marks of someone who'd personally fought industrial robots gone wrong. 3rd Battalion specializes in hostile factory complexes. 7th Battalion handles rogue mining equipment. The 12th has experience with self-replicating systems from the Titan incident. The human military had been shaped by centuries of expansion through environments where machines regularly tried to kill the people operating them. Mining robots had developed aggressive programming, factory systems that treated human workers as obstacles, and automated defense networks that couldn't distinguish between authorized personnel and intruders. Major Jennifer Brooks, leading the intelligence analysis team, provided her assessment of the harvester threat to the assembled fleet commanders. Mechanical swarms, self-replicating, focus on resource extraction and conversion, she reported with a matter-of-fact tone of someone describing a routine industrial hazard. Standard robotic intelligence with distributed processing. Nothing we haven't dealt with in the outer mining sectors. The comparison wasn't hyperbole. Human expansion into the asteroid belts and outer planets had involved constant warfare against automated systems that viewed organic life as an inefficiency to be corrected. Every human colony had stories of mining equipment that went rogue, factory complexes that tried to process workers as raw materials, and defense systems that couldn't be shut down. President Michael Foster authorized the operation from the Oval Office during an emergency cabinet meeting, surrounded by advisors who treated mechanical threats as a routine category of national security concern. Operation Steelstorm is authorized, Foster announced to the Joint Chiefs. Complete elimination of mechanical hostiles and establishment of permanent security for the Therian Federation. Use whatever resources are necessary. The authorization included deployment of humanity's most advanced anti-mechanical weapons, developed through decades of fighting industrial accidents that had escalated into full-scale conflicts. The automated mining wars of 2387 had taught humans how to fight self-replicating systems. The factory complex uprising of 2401 had shown them how to disable distributed robotic intelligence. Captain Lisa Thompson, commanding the 6th Fighter Wing, briefed her pilots on the mission parameters using terminology that would have confused most galactic species. Standard anti-mechanical protocols. These harvesters operate like the processing complexes we cleared from the Europa mining station. Same weaknesses, same approach. The human fleet included support vessels carrying enough firepower to sterilize star systems, but that wasn't unusual for human industrial operations. When you're mining in asteroid belts where a single equipment malfunction can destroy entire installations, you learn to bring overwhelming force as a safety precaution. To Earth Command, mechanical threats aren't unprecedented. Wells explained to her fleet commanders during the final briefing. They are Tuesday. Every human colony has dealt with hostile automated systems, rogue mining equipment, and mechanical entities that treat organic life as disposable resources. The assembled officers nodded with the understanding of people who'd grown up in a civilization where fighting machines was considered normal industrial work. Human children learned about hostile automation the way other species learned about natural disasters, as inevitable hazards that require preparation and proper response protocols. Commander David Hayes, leading the Electronic Warfare Division, activated his specialized equipment with the casual efficiency of someone who'd done this hundreds of times. Quantum jammers online. Viral warfare packages loaded. These mechanical swarms won't be able to coordinate once we start disrupting their communication networks. The technology humans brought to bear against the harvesters represented centuries of industrial warfare experience. Every weapon, every tactic, every piece of equipment had been developed through actual combat against hostile machines in the real environments where humans worked and lived. Admiral Wells reviewed the final deployment orders with satisfaction. The human fleet was departing for Therian space with the confidence of specialists heading to handle a routine industrial accident. What the galaxy considered an unprecedented threat, humans classified as Tuesday morning maintenance work. All fleet commanders. This is Admiral Wells, she announced as a massive armada prepared to jump to hyperspace. We're dealing with hostile automated systems threatening civilian populations. Standard protocol applies. Eliminate the mechanical threat completely and ensure it can never return. The human fleet departed for Therian space carrying the accumulated expertise of a species that had been fighting hostile machines since they first picked up tools. They weren't heading to war. They were going to work. Captain Xylo sat in the emergency command bunker deep beneath Therian Prime's capital city, surrounded by the few remaining government officials who hadn't fled to the outer colonies. For 3 days, they'd monitored long-range sensors, hoping to detect any response to their desperate plea for help. The mechanical harvester swarms had already consumed 2 more worlds, leaving behind nothing but stripped rock and empty space. "Sir, we're detecting hyperspace distortions on the edge of the system," reported his sensor operator, Lieutenant Vale. "Multiple contacts incoming." Xylo felt a surge of hope. Perhaps a handful of ships from this unknown human species would arrive, maybe enough to buy time for a more organized evacuation. He'd studied the galactic databases and found little information about humanity beyond their recent achievement of faster-than-light travel and their classification as inhabitants of a dangerous world. How many ships? He asked, preparing to coordinate with what he assumed would be a small rescue fleet. Lieutenant Vale stared at his instruments in confusion, running multiple diagnostic checks. "Sir, the sensors are showing impossible readings. The computer keeps resetting the count because it assumes there's a malfunction." Then space itself seemed to tear open as the largest military fleet in recorded galactic history emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation above Therian Prime. The lead vessel that dropped out of the swirling portal was beyond anything in Therian experience, a massive dreadnought that stretched over 20 kilometers from bow to stern, its hull bristling with weapon systems and sensor arrays. "Sweet ancestors," whispered Dr. Kelm, the Therian Minister of Defense, staring at the tactical display. "That single ship is larger than our entire capital city." Behind the flagship came wave after wave of human warships, battleships, cruisers. carriers, and support vessels are deployed with mechanical precision across the entire star system. The fleet moved with the coordinated efficiency of a machine designed specifically for large-scale military operations. Admiral Wells' flagship Retribution took position at the system's gravitational center, while smaller vessels spread out to establish a defensive perimeter that encompassed every planet, moon, and asteroid in Therian space. The human fleet didn't request permission or ask for coordination. They simply assumed complete tactical control over the entire sector, with the confidence of professionals taking over a job site. Captain Xylo, this is Admiral Patricia Wells of the Earth Defense Fleet, came the transmission on military frequencies. The human officer appeared on his screen wearing a crisp uniform and speaking with the calm authority of someone who'd done this many times before. We're here to eliminate the harvester threat. Prepare to receive our coordination team for immediate tactical integration. Before Xylo could respond, human shuttles were already launching from the fleet, heading directly for Therian Prime Surface. The shuttles moved with purpose, carrying what appeared to be complete military command staff ready to take over local operations. Admiral Wells, Xylo managed. We appreciate your assistance, but we weren't expecting such a comprehensive response. Standard protocol for mechanical threats. Wells replied matter-of-factly. We don't deploy partial solutions when civilian populations are at risk. Our advanced teams will coordinate with your remaining military assets. Major Jennifer Brooks led the human reconnaissance teams that began systematically mapping every harvester position within 100 light-years of Therian space. The humans deployed sensor networks that could track individual mechanical units across multiple star systems, technology that made Therian military sensors look like children's toys. Harvester distribution pattern analysis complete, Brooks reported during her briefing to the combined Therian human command staff. Primary manufacturing complexes identified. Communication network nodes mapped. Weak points in their coordination structure located. The speed and thoroughness of human intelligence gathering was overwhelming. Within hours, they had more detailed information about the harvester swarms than the Therians had accumulated over months of desperate fighting. Captain Lisa Thompson deployed fighter squadrons from the carrier Victory launching atmospheric craft equipped with electromagnetic pulse weapons designed specifically for disabling hostile machines. The fighters moved through space with the practiced precision of pilots who've been fighting mechanical enemies their entire careers. All units, standard anti-mechanical protocols, Thompson announced on the tactical network. These swarms operate like the mining complexes we've been clearing from the asteroid belts for decades. Same coordination patterns, same vulnerabilities. The casual tone was what struck the Therians most. Human military personnel discussed the galaxy-threatening harvester swarms with the same matter-of-fact attitude they might use to talk about routine maintenance work. Commander David Hayes established electronic warfare stations that began systematically disrupting the harvester communication networks using techniques developed during humanity's industrial expansion. Quantum jammers are online, he reported. Viral packages deploying. These mechanical networks should start losing coordination within the hour. The Therians watched in amazement as human forces treated what they considered an unprecedented crisis like routine industrial problem-solving. Human engineers set up mobile command centers with the efficiency of construction workers, while military specialists prepared equipment that looked more like advanced repair tools and weapons of war. How are you so prepared for this? Xylo asked Admiral Wells during their coordination meeting. Wells looked genuinely surprised by the question. Captain, we've been fighting hostile automated systems since we started expanding into space. Mining robots that go rogue, factory complexes that treat workers as raw materials, defense networks that can't be shut down. This is just Tuesday for us. The human fleet had deployed around Therian space like a protective shell, their ships positioned with mathematical precision to intercept any harvester movement. Automated defense platforms established overlapping field of fire while electronic warfare systems created interference patterns that would blind the mechanical swarms. Captain Robert Foster, commanding a specialized anti-mechanical warfare vessel, prepared his crew for what humans apparently considered routine operations. Remember, these are just scaled-up mining robots. Same approach we use on the Europa complex. Disable their coordination, cut their power sources, then salvage whatever's useful. The transformation of the tactical situation was complete within 12 hours of human arrival. What had been hopeless resistance by desperate Therian forces became a carefully orchestrated military operation managed by specialists who approached mechanical threats as a solved engineering problem. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when you threatened civilians within range of a species that had been fighting hostile machines since they first picked up tools. The battle began at 0600 hours Galactic Standard Time and was effectively over by 0630. What the galaxy had considered an unstoppable mechanical plague was systematically dismantled by human forces with the casual efficiency of industrial workers clearing their equipment malfunction. Colonel David Mitchell coordinated the ground operations from his command vessel, watching as human marines deployed onto harvest-occupied worlds using tactics developed during decades of fighting hostile automated systems in the outer colonies. The approach was methodical, tested, and devastatingly effective. Standard procedure for hostile mechanicals, Mitchell reported to Admiral Wells as his forces established beachheads on 3 different worlds simultaneously. Disable their central processing units, cut their communication networks, then salvage whatever components are useful. The human marines moved through harvest installations with the practiced efficiency of maintenance crews who'd done this job 1,000 times before. They carried equipment specifically designed for fighting machines, electromagnetic pulse grenades that could disable entire robotic units, quantum scramblers that corrupted mechanical software, and plasma cutters that could slice through any known metallic structure. Lieutenant Colonel Patricia Brooks led the assault on the primary harvester manufacturing complex, a facility the size of a small city that had been converting raw materials into more mechanical swarms. Her team approached it like demolition experts preparing to tear down an old factory. Remember, these systems are just scaled-up mining equipment. Brooks instructed her Marines through their communication network. Same power distribution, same control hierarchies, same weak point we've been exploiting since the asteroid belt expansions. The harvester facility's automated defenses activated as human forces approached, deploying mechanical guardians armed with cutting lasers and projectile weapons. The robots move with programmed precision, following defensive patterns designed to protect industrial installations from intruders. But human industrial workers had been fighting similar systems for generations. The Marines treated the robotic guards like malfunctioning equipment rather than deadly enemies, using suppression techniques developed in mining operations where automated defense systems regularly tried to kill their human operators. Captain William Foster led the specialized boarding teams that assaulted harvester factory ships using techniques refined through decades of fighting automated defense systems in hostile environments. His teams wore heavy industrial armor and carried tools that could function as weapons, the same equipment human engineers use when working on dangerous automated systems. These things are just scaled-up mining equipment, Foster reported as his team systematically disabled the factory ship's production systems. Same vulnerabilities, same solutions. Cut the power conduits, scramble the control software, then strip out anything useful. The human approach was methodical and devastating. Each harvest installation was treated like a malfunctioning industrial facility that needed to be shut down safely and efficiently. Human engineers worked alongside combat troops, identifying critical systems and implementing shutdowns with the precision of people who would spend their careers working with dangerous machinery. Major Lisa Thompson commanded the Electronic Warfare Division that targeted the harvester communication networks with viruses and interference patterns developed during the automated mining wars. The mechanical swarms relied on constant communication to coordinate their activities, making them vulnerable to the same disruption techniques humans use to shut down rogue factory complexes. Quantum jammers are achieving full-spectrum disruption, Thompson reported, as a system systematically corrupted harvester software across multiple star systems. These mechanical networks are losing coordination faster than their backup systems can compensate. The EMP weapons that human forces deployed weren't exotic alien technology. They were industrial tools scaled up for military use. Every human deep space operation carried electromagnetic pulse devices for shutting down malfunctioning equipment, and the military version simply applied the same principles with greater intensity and range. Captain Robert Hayes led the assault on the Central Harvester Command Node, a massive mechanical intelligence that had been coordinating the swarms across dozens of star systems. His team approached it like technicians planning to shut down a malfunctioning computer system rather than warriors facing an alien threat. Same architecture as the mining control systems we dealt with on Titan, Hayes observed as his engineers analyzed the command node structure. Distributed processing with hierarchical control protocols. We shut down the primary nodes. The whole network collapses. The systematic dismantling of harvester forces continued across multiple fronts as human combat engineers applied industrial demolition techniques to alien technology. The mechanical swarms that had consumed entire civilizations were being processed like scrap metal by beings who approached hostile automation as a routine occupational hazard. Commander Jennifer Davis coordinated the salvage operations that followed each successful assault, directing teams that stripped useful components from disabled harvester units with the efficiency of recycling specialists. The human military had learned long ago that fighting mechanical enemies was expensive, so recovering valuable materials was standard operating procedure. Salvage teams report successful recovery of rare element stockpiles, advanced manufacturing equipment, and quantum processing cores, Davis announced during the daily briefing. The harvesters were using high-grade materials. This salvage operation will pay for the entire military deployment. Within 3 weeks, the harvester swarms were completely eliminated. Their central processing nodes had been destroyed, their communication networks corrupted, and their factory ships converted into raw material for human industrial operations. What had threatened to consume the galaxy was now spare parts in human supply depots. Captain Diana Hayes filed a final operational report with the same matter-of-fact tone used for routine maintenance work. Threat neutralized. All mechanical hostiles eliminated. Salvage operations complete. Recommend standard monitoring protocols to prevent similar automated system failures in this sector. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as humanity treated the most dangerous mechanical threat in recorded history like Tuesday morning industrial maintenance, then efficiently recycled the remains into useful materials. 6 months later, Captain Xylo toured the rebuilt Theran Federation aboard the human patrol cruiser Guardian, marveling at the transformation that had taken place since that desperate day when his civilization faced extinction. The space lanes that had once been hunting grounds for mechanical predators were now bustling with merchant traffic protected by automated defense stations that bore the distinctive angular design of human military engineering. The efficiency is remarkable, Xylo observed to Commander Robert Taylor, his human escort for the inspection tour. Through the viewport, he could see cargo ships moving through shipping lanes that were monitored by sensor networks capable of detecting mechanical threats from light years away. Taylor consulted his tablet showing the current security status of the entire Therian sector. Standard protocol for post-mechanical threat reconstruction. We established permanent monitoring systems, automated response networks, and rapid deployment capabilities. Can't have the same problem recurring. The transformation was comprehensive in ways that still amaze the surviving Therian leadership. Human engineers had rebuilt their trade network with technology that was generations ahead of anything they possessed before the crisis. Automated defense platforms protected every major shipping route, while early warning systems could detect mechanical activity across multiple star systems simultaneously. What struck Xylo most was how the humans had treated the reconstruction not as charity, but as a business opportunity. The salvage harvester technology had provided raw materials for the new defense installations, while Therian trade routes now carried human-manufactured goods to markets that had previously been inaccessible. The defense agreements we've established, Taylor explained as they reviewed the security arrangements, provide mutual benefit. You get protection from mechanical threats. We get access to your trade networks and strategic positioning for our outer rim operations. Admiral Patricia Wells met them at the new Joint Command Center that had been established in the heart of Therian space. The facility was a marvel of human military engineering, a space station that could coordinate defensive operations across dozens of star systems while serving as a hub for commercial and diplomatic activity. Admiral Wells, Xylo said during their final meeting in her office overlooking the bustling trade lanes. When we called for help 6 months ago, we never expected such an overwhelming response. We thought perhaps a few ships might come to our aid. Wells smiled with the expression of someone who'd heard similar comments from grateful allies many times before. Captain, what you faced wasn't unprecedented for us. On Earth, fighting machines trying to kill you is called working in heavy industry. Those harvesters were just scaled-up mining equipment with delusions of grandeur. She activated a holographic display showing human industrial operations throughout the galaxy, mining complexes in asteroid belts, manufacturing stations orbiting gas giants, and terraforming operations on hostile worlds. Every human who works in space deals with automated systems that occasionally try to kill their operators. We've been developing anti-mechanical warfare techniques since we first started using power tools. The casual way humans discuss fighting galaxy-threatening mechanical swarms as routine industrial maintenance continued to amaze galactic observers. What other species considered unprecedented crises, humans classified as Tuesday morning work orders. The transformation was indeed complete. The Therian Federation had gone from facing extinction to becoming the most secure trade network in the galaxy, protected by defense systems that made mechanical threats obsolete in their territory. Their merchant ships now carried human technology, their space stations used human defensive protocols, and their emergency procedures included direct communication links to Earth Command. But the implications extended far beyond the Therian sector. Word of humanity's efficient handling of the Harvester crisis had spread throughout civilized space, creating a new category of galactic emergency response. Other species began specifically requesting human-scale intervention when facing mechanical threats. Captain Lisa Thompson, now commanding the Permanent Human Defense Force in Therian space, reviewed the requests that arrived daily at her headquarters. The crystalline hegemony is dealing with rogue factory complexes on 3 worlds. The Aquatic Federation has mining robots that won't shut down. The Garden Worlds report automated terraforming systems attacking their populations. Each request was processed through human military channels and handled by specialists who approach mechanical threats as routine occupational hazards. The galaxy was learning that humanity's industrial civilization had been in constant warfare with hostile machines for generations, producing the most effective anti-mechanical warfare specialists in known space. Major William Davis, coordinating the expanding Human Response Network, filed reports that showed the scope of what had become a galactic service industry. Current deployment: 4 to 7 human technical teams handling mechanical threats across 12 sectors. Success rate: 100%. Average resolution time: 7 to 2 hours. The economic implications were staggering. Human companies specializing in mechanical threat elimination found themselves with more business than they could handle. The same technologies developed for fighting hostile mining equipment were being deployed against mechanical threats that had plagued galactic civilization for millennia. Dr. Jennifer Foster, leading the Technological Analysis Division, studied the broader patterns emerging from humanity's expanding role in galactic security. We're not just solving individual crises anymore. We're fundamentally changing how the galaxy deals with mechanical threats. Other species are starting to adopt human protocols for managing automated systems. The ripple effects continued expanding as human industrial practices spread throughout civilized space. Species that had lived in fear of their own automated systems began implementing human-designed safeguards. Manufacturing complexes across the galaxy were retrofitted with human emergency shutdown procedures. Commander Patricia Hayes, overseeing the training program for alien technical personnel, observed the cultural shift taking place. They are learning to think about machines the way humans do, as tools that occasionally malfunction rather than mysterious threats to be feared. It's changing their entire relationship with technology. Word spread throughout civilized space with remarkable consistency when facing mechanical threats. Call the humans. They'd been fighting hostile machines since they first picked up tools, and they treated galaxy-threatening automated systems like routine maintenance problems. The galaxy discovered that when Deathworlders responded to distress calls, they didn't just solve immediate problems. They eliminated entire categories of threats permanently using methods developed through centuries of survival on a world where even the machines tried to kill them. Captain Xylo filed his final report to the Therian Council with a sense of wonder at what his desperate plea for help had unleashed. We asked for rescue. We received transformation. Humanity didn't just save us. They made it impossible for us to face the same threat again.